You're so tired of practicing great and playing terribly. We're bringing your practice success to the golf course tonight. Let's do this! Getting ready to play golf, preparing yourself for a round of golf, can sometimes be, well, a little confusing because you don't know how to do it. Well, you know what? That changes now. Time for a Footjoy Fix. You get out there to the practice tee, and I want you to start with hitting some little wedge shots. I've got a 35-yard wedge, and I'm going to hit a 60-yard wedge shot. Now, why is this so important? Well, one, I don't want to break into making full swings right away. And two, I want to hit shots of consequence. You're going to go out and you're going to play a round of golf. All these shots that you play in that round all have consequence. You've got to start to get yourself prepared for consequential shots right away. So we start out with this 35-yard shot. Now, with a sand wedge that I have, which is 53 degrees, what I'm going to do is just start to feel my body getting involved in the shot. So I'm just starting to work on hitting a shot that's going right to that 35-yard target. And as I start to do this, I'm starting to feel my body get involved in the shot. It's not dramatic. It's just a little bit of body movement in the back and a little bit of body movement in the through swing. Now, when we start to do this, what you're starting to do is you're starting to get your body warmed up, but at the same time, you're hitting the consequence. What does it feel like for 35 yards? What does the tempo feel like? Typically, people do not get into this 35-yard shot and hit something like that. That doesn't happen. What ends up happening is you have a rhythm, you have a rotation, you have a body movement to this that is smooth. And so as we start to get in this, you're just feeling this. 35 yards in here. Oh, this is a good one as well. And you can see these shots all have pretty consistent distance, so very happy with it. Now, once you've done that for a little bit, and you're talking about 5, maybe 6 shots, now what you're going to start to do is you're going to start to change some trajectory, and you're going to start to change some distance. And what I mean by that is that how far it flies, how far it rolls out. So when I start wanting to hit this 35-yard shot, I may have a back flag on this 35. So I want to be able to land it on the green and get it to roll. So at that point, what I'm going to do, and we'll need a down-the-line shot here, Gibbsy, what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to want to get a little bit closer to this. And as I creep in here, now this is going to be a little bit of a steeper angle of attack. And then when I come through, I want to feel my arms and hands a little bit away from me. So the last shot I hit, the apex was 15 feet. It flew in the air about 32 yards and rolled out to 37. So this one's going to be quite a bit different because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little steeper with it. I'm going to flight this down a little bit lower. Well, I hit that a little bit farther than I wanted to, but the trajectory on that one, all of a sudden, it launched at 22.4. The shot that I hit before, it launched at about 29. So a standard shot for me might be a 29 shot. I'm now working on hitting this just a little bit lower. So we creep in here. Same shot again. And that one launched out. That had an apex of 11 and 23.5 on the launch angle. Now, I do that for a little bit. Now what I also want to do is I want to be able to hit a little higher shot. So now what I'm going to do, Gibbers, I'm going to stand a little farther away from this, maybe crank this club face open a little bit more. And now what I'm doing here with a little wider stance so my feet are a little bit broader, now I'm going to hit this up into the air. I hit that one a little bit farther than I wanted to hit it. And with a little bit more spin, all of a sudden that one apexed at 30. The problem is I flew at 49. I'm only trying to get this to go 35. So getting myself ready for this, 35. This one's quite a bit better. That one flew about 37. That one had the apex of 22 feet, a vertical launch of 34. Let's try one more. Little wider, little farther, little open. That one there also a little bit farther than I want. That one flew 41, so I only wanted to hit it 35. So as I'm hitting these various shots to 35, I'm also getting a little bit of a feel of, hey, you know what? This 35 shot when I'm going up into the air, I'm giving it a little bit too much. This one, I love this one. That was excellent. That one there, 37. So I'm within 2 yards. And you're going to practice this stuff. So as you start to work on these short shots, you're getting your body loosened up. And I always try to hit my higher trajectory shots later or last, because the higher trajectory shots tend to be a little bit more of a fuller swing. Now, what we want to do from here is we want to go to a 60-yard shot. So as we go to a 60-yard shot, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this standard shot that I have, and also what I'm going to be doing now is getting a little farther away from it, but it's a little bit of a fuller shot and there's a little bit more body rotation here. Not any faster, still great rhythm, but a little bit fuller motion. And again, while we're getting loosened up here, we're also asking for ourselves to have some distance and distance control. So this one here, again, going for that 60-yard shot, I flew it to about 64, had a little bit of backspin on it. And again, the backspin is going to happen because I have a little bit more club head speed. That one there, the backspin was at about 8,300. So a lot higher from, say, the 5,000 that we had before. Again, same thing. And this one there is right on 60. In fact, I flew it to 59.9. Excellent shot again. Spin rate on that was 8,300, so I'm getting some consistency. And as I'm starting to do this, I'm developing some confidence. One of the things that happens to you is you don't practice this when you head out to the golf course, and as a result, when you face this shot or a shot that's similar to it, you haven't hit it, and probably haven't hit it in a few weeks. And as a result, when you go out there, you have no confidence with the shot, and if it happens early in the round, it can destroy your round of golf. So you want to make sure that you give yourself this little extra 10 minutes. All you're doing here is just doing a little bit of work. This one's going to be right around that same thing, about 55 yards, getting a little bit of confidence in this shot. Let's hit one more. And then my last shot when I'm done with wedges, what I'm going to do is, and this is going to be a camera 3, Gibbers, what I'm going to do is I'm going to now go back here as if I were hitting this in competition. So I'm going to line this up. I'm going to go through what I would do. I come into the shot with just one hand on the club. I'm feeling what this 60-yard shot is going to feel like, visualizing the launch angle, visualizing the distance. And then I'm going to hit that shot. Let's see if we get a little bit of spin on that one. And there you go. So come on up here, because this is what ends up happening. So I've given myself a little bit of thought. I've given myself a little bit of golf course-like preparation. Here's what happened. All of a sudden, I launched it at about 30 degrees. That's the ideal launch angle that I'm looking for. I had an apex of about 37 feet. I flew that to about 63.2 and spun it back to about 60.5. Now, one of the cool things that I love about this is the ball speed married up to the distance that I hit it. So my ball speed was about 61 miles per hour. The ball went about 61 yards. So what does this mean? It means that when you head out to the practice area and you're getting warmed up to go play, you want to give yourself some of these 35, 60-yard shots. These are shots you may face when you've driven it into the rough and you can't get out, so you got to lay up, and you lay up to 60 yards. Or maybe you're playing a par 5 and you're hitting that shot just a little shy of the green, and now you've got that 60-yard shot. Well, you know what? You don't want the first time for you to be hitting that shot when you're on the course, or you certainly don't want the last time you hit that shot to be 2 weeks ago. When you get out there to practice tee, give yourself a little bit of loosening up. Get that thing to go, that 35-yard shot, that 60-yard shot, and when you get that, then what you're going to end up getting is you're going to end up getting a little bit more confidence, a little bit more trust, and a lot lower scores. And that is our Footjoy Fix. Time for a transformational tip presented by Morgan Franklin. So you come out to the range. Now what we want to do is we want to start focusing on a target. So I've got my 9-iron here, and what's essential for you to appreciate is when you come out here and you're getting ready for this golf course experience, I want you to hit these shots of consequence. You're going to hear me talk about this a lot. Consequence. What happens when we're out on the golf course? Every shot is consequential. When we're out here on the practice tee, most times you're not thinking that way. Well, you know what? When you get ready to go play golf, it's got to be that way. So what we first start to do is we're creating a shot. So right here, I've got this target. It's at about 145 yards. That's about a 9-iron for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on making sure that I'm focusing individually on each separate shot, not trying to just make a bunch of haphazard swings and hope that a couple of them are pretty good. Each shot means something. So what that means is that when I'm coming in, I'm doing like a little bit of a pre-shot stuff. Now, I'm not standing behind the ball at this point. All I'm doing is I'm making sure that when I'm coming in with the right foot the way I do, as if I was going to hit a shot on the golf course. So I got that one started at my target. First swing of the day, probably doesn't get to the distance that I want. But again, I've hit a shot that went at my target. So I'm starting to develop a little confidence. Now what you're going to see is I'm going to start again back here. Make sure I get the grip exactly the way I want. Get my distance to the ball the correct. Make sure that when I'm looking down, I'm always checking that target. And one of the things that I notice with most of you at home is you don't get to where you look up at where you want to hit the golf ball. What you do is you stand over this all the time, and then you just kind of go through these thoughts that you have in your mind, and then you hit the ball. And what I want you to do is I want you to start picking up the target. Make sure you're looking there. So that's why what I want you to do is get the club held the way you want it to be held. Step into this the right way. Then make sure you're looking at the target. I want a minimum of 2 looks before you go. That for me, 3 is where I am comfortable. I get my 3 looks. Gives me some confidence in where I'm hitting the shot. And now I'm starting over again. With my 9-iron, I'm probably going to hit 5, maybe 6 shots. I'm not going to spend a lot of time with this. This will be number 4. Make sure that I'm getting my feel of the golf course. Here's another good one. I like this one a lot. So you're going to do, that's an excellent shot for me. So what you're going to do is you're going to do that. Then after a little time, I want you to go back and we're going to take that 9, we're going to turn it upside down. We're going to go to the 6-iron. 6-iron's a club for me that I like to use a lot because I can start to get some curve. And now I'm going to have a target that's going to be somewhere in the, say, 170 to 175 range. When we start looking out now over this range, what we're going to see is, okay, I have a similar shot here, but now I'm going to go to that back flag. And one of the things that you want to do is you want to be able to mix it up, right? So you might end up hitting for this flag for a couple of shots, and we will. And then what we're going to do is we're going to switch to another flag because I don't want to have too many of similar shots because you're going to be on the golf course, you're going to be aiming across certain things, and flags are going to be on the left, and flags are going to be on the right, and you're going to have all those different things. So we go over here. Same thing, number of looks, waggles. And this is a pretty good shot for me. Might have been even a little bit farther than I wanted to hit it. Yeah, I hit that too far. That was really solid. Went 182 yards. Now, as I start to do that, I get a little bit excited. That might have been one where I kind of gave it a little bit of adrenaline. Same thing. Backing in, getting my distance, getting my feel, getting my looks, making sure, and this is one of the things you need to pay attention to. So many times I see people prepare for a round of golf, and you at home may find this, where as you start to get going, you start adding too much bend. So in a down the line view, where I might comfortably stand up here with my 6-iron, when I look at the target, I'm now here. If I get a little too far from it and I look up, now all of a sudden the target looks like it's in a different place. It looks like my eyes are kind of coming at it this way instead of coming at it this way. And it's essential for you to know how you see the target when you're playing well. So many times what happens is that when we look out through our eyes, what we're seeing is the target, but we're not aware of how we're seeing the target. So when I looked up right there, that target wasn't the way that I normally see it. I know I'm too far from the ball. So what I've got to do is I got to make sure that I'm aware of that. Now I'm taller. Now all of a sudden I see the target the way I want to see the target. And this is a very good shot as well. Maybe even a little bit farther than I want to hit it. But what you're going to see is, and Greg, if you could peel that one back up again, what you're going to see is that leaves right at the target. So I know I've got my swing where I want it, just hitting it a little bit farther than I intend. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pick up another target. And on this range here, there's probably a target that's in the, say, 175 to 185 range. And when you're out there and you're working on something, it doesn't necessarily have to go the specific distance. A lot of times the golf balls that you're using on the range are not the same as what you use when you go out to play. And so as a result, you're not going to hit the ball the exact same distance. But what you do want to focus on is how you're hitting the ball relative to the accuracy left and right, not necessarily how far it goes. Okay? Same thing, we get in here like this. I'm getting my target, feeling that balance, feeling the height of my chest and how I'm seeing this. And this is my shot here. Pretty good shot. Okay, just a little bit right. Maybe you can show that one again. So what you'll see is that shot there was a little bit to the right, had a little bit of curve to it. Now, as I start to see that shot, I'm thinking to myself, okay, you know what? That one started to the right for me and it faded to the right, which I like. However, it started too far to the right, so now I'm going to really focus on my alignment. So when I start to go, now I'm going to aim this just a little bit to the left. And then what I'm going to be able to do is start this, and let's see if I can get that little shape again. And this is a very solid shot. And then you can see it. So go ahead, Greg, let's show that one again. So remember, I took my alignment, I aimed it a little bit more to the left. And look at this ball. This one there, all of a sudden, right at my flag. That's what you want to do. So when you come out and you're getting ready to go play your round of golf, what I want you to do too is I want you to get and I want you to hit some irons. I want you to pick some different targets. So I'm hitting 9 irons, I'm hitting 6 irons. I'm not standing there and I'm not practicing for 35 minutes. What I'm doing is I'm hitting a handful of 9 irons, a handful of 6 irons. I'm getting used to what's going on with how I'm seeing my targets, how I'm aligning, all those different things. All the while, I'm still focusing on getting my hands on the club the proper way, creating my distance the same way as I do when I'm in playing a round of golf and hitting a singular shot. Because what we have to do is we have to create shots of consequence when we're in the practice arena, because we want that to be that same way as we're on the golf course, and every shot on the golf course is a shot of consequence. And that right there is our transformational tip presented by Morgan Franklin. Time for a grip tip presented by Golf Pride. So we're going out onto the golf course. We've got to make sure that we get a chance to hit some longer woods or hybrids, and we have to hit the driver to prepare ourselves for the round. Now, what is it that we're going to do to solve this issue of I can't hit my 3-wood, I can't hit my hybrid, I don't want to hit them on the practice tee because I don't want to have that negative experience as I head to the golf course? Guess what? You got to get good at what you're bad at. You've got to get good at what you're bad at. And what does that mean? That means you've got to hit these clubs as often as you can, and you must hit them before you go play. So what I like to do is, after I've worked my way through my wedges and my irons, what I want to do is I now want to get these longer clubs. And we'll say hybrid and fairway wood and then driver. So I've got the fairway wood, I've got my 3-wood. Now, what are the things that I'm trying to do when I'm hitting this? Well, one, obviously, I'm trying to get some confidence. I want to make sure that I'm hitting this thing solidly. And one of the reasons why people struggle with these clubs is, one, you don't make a full enough turn, and two, when you come into the strike, your chest is not staying down in the shot. Because this doesn't have a lot of loft on it, you want to help it get up into the air. I don't want you to do that. I want you to make this good full turn, let this club travel distance, and then I want you to feel like your chest is down to the ground. Now, this is something that you can think about as you're hitting these shots and getting ready to go. I still want you to have looks at the target. I still want you to have this feeling of consequential shots, but I want you to focus on getting a little bit of a fuller turn and feeling like that chest is in the ground. Now, as you start to do that, what you're going to find is this golf ball is going to start jumping off. It's going to take you a little bit of time to develop that confidence, and that's what we're all about. Getting the confidence into this so when we go to the golf course and we hit this and we know we're going to hit it, don't run away from it, run to it. Okay, so you build this in these swings, and again, we're talking about maybe 8 to 10 swings with the hybrid or the fairway wood. You're going to make those first couple with a good full turn. And then what I want you to do is I want you to then start to focus on getting that chest to the ground. So a shot like that, good full turn, but I didn't keep my chest in the ground. Solid shot, good ball speed, everything I want, but my chest is a little bit out of that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my motion, get that feel of my chest staying down in that shot. And there's a good strike, a nice little draw, solid ball strike, club face, ball speed, distance, all that stuff is good. Did we get it to the 250? I like it. All right, that works. Again, I told you before, we're hitting a handful of these. We're getting some confidence. So that chest staying down worked out nicely. A little practice swing beforehand. Good full turn. Get that measurement to the ball. Get sure your balance is correct. Good strike there. Good solid strike. Got a lot of trajectory on it. And excellent. Does that get to the 250? No, not quite. A little bit of a fade on that one. All right, so last one again. Chest staying down. Good full turn. Let's see if we can get one at that target now. Oh, that was really good strike. A little bit of my buttercut in there. Wonderful move. Almost flew it into that bucket that's about 240 out. Okay, so now I've got that. Now finally, what we're going to do is we're going to get to that driver. Driver. And now we're doing the same thing. I'm taking that same thought process, that same focus of the good full turn and the chest down. Now, get my right distance to the ball. Feel like I'm standing up a little bit taller. Turn and chest. And there's a good swing. That's curving right back towards my target. Did I get it? Oh, no, but that was excellent right in the strip. Just a little bit, maybe even a little farther than I wanted. So good. Same thing again. And what you're doing again is you're trying to make sure that you create that shot of consequence. That's what this is all about. Preparing yourself for the golf course. Same thing again. One little thing I'm going to add here, not now, but on my next one. And there's a good strike again. This one down the line. Just what I want to do, but I just didn't quite carry it as far as I wanted. But look at that. The consistency of those two strikes, the distance about the same. Okay, now, invariably what's going to happen is you're going to have one of those shots on your golf course where you got a lot of confidence. It's a par 5. You've got a ton of room out there. We want to create a little bit more speed. So I want you to hit one where you're really trying to go at it, okay? So we're going to just give one of these. Now, this is not anything that you do with any other club. But when you're warming up and getting ready for the golf course, you're trying to create some situations that are similar to what you're going to face out there. There will be a time where you can go ahead and let one go. So we're going to create a little bit more club head speed. So that one there, ball speed right around 150 or so. Now what I want to do is I want to try to get that ball speed up a little bit. Maybe get it to 155. Dare I say, no. 160? No. but we're going to give this a little bit more of a hit. So same thing, get a little wider stance now. Feel like we're going to get a little bit more turn. So right shoulder, my trail shoulder is going to be a little bit more active. So I go at that a little bit firmer, a little bit faster, a little bit too much spin on that, a little bit too much turn. I got to get one more. We got to make sure that we get that one shot that's going to allow us to get a little bit more club head speed, a little bit more distance, but also not to lose the confidence. You don't want to go out there with the mindset of, man, when I swing too hard on this, I don't hit it where I want to go. I want to get this to go the way I want it to go. So what we got to do is we've got to make sure that we're getting that depth, that good full motion, that trail shoulder getting behind. Really important for that. And then I want to try to blur that club through as fast as I can, maybe get a little bit more arm speed. Okay, so that was much, much better. Now, watch this one. Okay, so that flew about 253 yards. It rolled out to about 270. So now I know that I can go at this a little bit faster, create a little bit more club head speed. When you go to the warm-up area, the practice area, before you're going out onto the golf course, you've got to make sure that you hit longer clubs, hybrid or fairway woods. Give yourself some of those, and then get this driver. And when you get the driver in your hand, you want to be able to have that confidence that that ball's going to go where you want it to go. You also want to rehearse just swinging a little bit harder. So when you get that chance where maybe you're a little downwind, maybe it's a par 5, you've got a wider fairway, you can go ahead and let this go. Get that longer swing, get that faster swing, get that greater ball speed and greater distance. Practice that. Give yourself a little bit of understanding of how to do it. And when you do that and you go to the golf course, now you're prepared to go. All these shots all have consequence, which is exactly what the golf course is all about. And that right there is our grip tip presented by Golf Pride. So you've warmed up, you're ready to go to the golf course. But before we go to the golf course, we got to go to the golf course. And before we do that, it's time for Proving It, presented by Titleist. And that's right, the yellow ball is out. Now, what do I mean by we're going to the golf course before we go to the golf course? Well, what I like to do and what I learned after studying Ben Hogan for a long, long time was he liked to play some holes on the golf course before he went to go play in his round. So what does that mean? That means when you're out on the practice tee, after you've loosened up, I want you to play the first 3 or 4 holes. And what that means is you need your mind's eye. Now, let's just take this camera one shot. We're on the first tee at Bethpage. Why wouldn't we be there? PGA Championship just ended up. And what I've got to do is I know I've got to hit a tee shot here. I'm going to be faced with this. I want that nervous energy. I want that consequential shot. So what I want to do is I want to get in my mind's eye what this looks like so that when I'm on the practice tee, I'm actually visualizing the golf course. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my pre-shot routine. What I mean by that is I'm going to get behind the ball. I'm going to pick my intermediate target. I'm going to come in here. I want to aim this just down the right-hand side. And now I'm coming in. All that practice that I've done on the practice tee, now I'm trying to put this into these last shots that I play before I go to the golf course. Tee shot at number 1. And this one is a really, really good shot. This is down that left side of the fairway and pretty long. I've stretched it out exactly the way I want. Now, what's the shot that I have remaining? Well, I've got it in the fairway, and as this starts to swing around, you can see that what I've got here is I've got that whole location in the back portion of the green. The distance that I have, about 162 yards, and a little bit of a back flag. So what am I going to do? Well, I don't want to hit this past the flag, so I'm going to hit an 8-iron. And the reason why I'm going to hit this 8-iron is I want to be thinking about what this situation is. So in other words, when I'm out on the golf course, if I have a front flag, or I have a back flag, this 162 could be a completely different shot. If I'm 162 and the flag's in the front of the green, I may hit a 7-iron here because 162 is right in between for me. My 7-iron's about 165, my 8-iron's probably 155. So at 162 with the back flag, I know I'm not going to be able to hit this 8-iron over the green. This is a shot I can hit with a good degree of confidence and know that I'm not going to hit it over the green. So again, I go through the exact same thing. Get my intermediate target, come in here, go through my little dance step that I've rehearsed. I've got an 8-iron, which is very similar to clubs that I've warmed up with. I've got a back flag. Here we go. Now this shot is drifting just a little bit left on me. So now I go, okay, you know what? Lost a little bit of confidence, didn't quite trust that right hole location, didn't want to miss that to the right. Now, why is that so important? It's important because you know that that's what you're going to end up getting when you get on the golf course. And so you want to be able to give yourself that shot that you know you're going to get. You may stand here and hit another one. You may not. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to head over to number 2. And as we head over to number 2, it's certainly going to require for me to get a different club. Now, what does number 2 look like? Well, you can see this, and you saw it all last week. A little bit of a dog leg to the left. It's probably a club that maybe is a 3-wood club or a hybrid club. Some players we saw hit an iron off this tee. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go back to the bag, and I'm going to go for my 3-wood. Now, why is it that I'm going to go with the 3-wood? Well, one of the reasons why I'm going with the 3-wood, and you know what, I'm also going to go yellow ball, because why wouldn't I? I practiced this club on the practice tee. So I know when I was standing there, I kind of had a feeling, okay, you know what, I might have a 3-wood on the second hole, so I'm going to practice that when I'm on the practice tee, get that feel. And now on this practice tee, now I know, hey, you know what? This is the 3-wood club, so I'm making my decision for when I get to the golf course. Again, I'm starting back here like this. Pick my target, go through a little practice swing, and now I'm going to take this down my line, commit to what I'm doing with my swing. Down the left-hand side, we're going to need a little bit of a kick here. Okay, so now my shot didn't quite go exactly the way I wanted to go. I put a little bit too much hook into that one. What's the shot that I've got? Well, you can see I've got the flag open to me. This tree on my left-hand side is going to offer a little bit of trouble, but at the same time, as I hit this, I'm going, well, you know what? I've got 139 yards. That, another 8-iron. How about that? So now I've got 2 8-irons. Give this a little bit of a look again. That's 2 little pulls. So now I've had 2 pulls. Why am I getting some pulls? Well, my body must not be rotating through the shot the way I want it to rotate through. So now on this one, I'm going to focus a little bit more fully on getting that body to rotate through the shot. Line myself up correctly. Here we go. Well, that worked really, really well. Okay, so really solid, just hit it a little bit too far and it didn't hook. So that's really good positive news for me. So I've hit a little bit of hook early on, and now all of a sudden I've got my confidence. I know, hey, you know what? This swing is working out well. I've got that body rotating, so that's excellent. You also always want to put the clubs back into your bag. I failed to do that in my other 2 attempts, but you always put it back in the bag because you want to try to create something that is exactly like what you're going to face on the golf course. Now, as we head over here, tees are up today, hole location in the back left portion of the green. I got about a 172-yard shot. This is a shot for me. I'm actually going to take this 7-iron now, and I'm going to draw this one back into this flag. So this is fun because all I've been trying to do is pretty much hit straight shots, not create any real curve. Well, this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this in the center of the green and maybe play a straighter shot with or a slight little draw. Now again, body's going to rotate through, so I'm working on that in that practice swing. Get my intermediate target, which is back in here just like I'm on the golf course. This is what I'm doing before I prepare myself to leave this range. This is a really, really good strike. Maybe just a tad too far because I hit it so well. Oh no, good, it's on the back portion of the green. Greg, can you replay that shot? Can we show what that shot looks like? So there you go. Remember, I was telling you I wanted to just hit a little bit of a draw back to that left hole location. Wonderful shot. Now I feel really good about what's going on because I understand what's happening with my body. I know how to get a little bit more distance. I know how to rotate through. I've got all that. Now what I'm doing is I'm going to go over to play the par 5. Now, what does this all mean? Well, what this means is this. When you go out to go play, before you go play, you got to go play. And that means you're going to play those first 3 or 4 holes. Now, it's all dependent upon time. So, only time we had time for was these first 3 holes. But what you can see is once you've gone through these holes in your mind and you've played, I've hit a driver, then I hit an 8-iron, then I hit a 3-wood, then I hit an 8-iron, then I hit a 7-iron. All of a sudden, it's a completely different practice or warm-up experience to what you've done in the past. Because what you tend to do is you take your favorite golf club and you just hit that and hit that and hit that until you feel good. And then you pick your next favorite golf club until you feel good with that one. And then you go, man, I'm hitting it great. I'm ready to go to the golf course. It's not the way you head to the golf course. The way you head to the golf course is play those first 3 or 4 holes in your mind. Create targets, create fairways, make it look exactly like what you're going to face out on the golf course. And then the other thing is you want to try to practice with clubs that you know that you're going to hit when you're out there. So I warm up with that 3-wood because I know I'm going to get that 3-wood on the second tee shot. I warm up with an iron. Maybe it's a 4-iron because you know that on the 6th hole at your club, that's a par 3, it's a 4-iron, and it's one you struggle with. So you want to warm up with that, practice with that, get used to that. Those are the things that are going to allow you to shoot lower scores. Those are the things that are going to make your experience on the golf course a whole lot better. And that's Proven It, presented by Titleist.